everybody, welcome to Archer's Garage, and we have in the garage today a treat, something different. And so what we have here is an electric pressure washer. The name of it is MrLiance, MrLiance. So if you were French, right, you would say it would be Mr., which would be a capital M, MrLiance. It's made in China, so you would think, well, Mr. Lee, that could be a possibility, right? Or MrLiance, and of course, I'm from New York, right? Here in America, Long Island. So what am I gonna say? MrLiance, all right? So this company approached me. I think it's Tienda Washer, and again, I'm probably saying that wrong. So I'm just gonna screw up the language, no matter what I do. No offense to anybody. They approached me and they asked me to do a product review, which is awesome, sure. I thought about it for a little bit, and I thought I had a couple of questions to start off with. And so let's dig in, right? Let's open it up. I think it needs a little bit of assembly, you know, because they packaging it. So the first questions I thought of were, the first one being the most important is, well, why would we need this, right? Why would I want it? Why would my subscribers, the people that watch my channel, how does it affect them? You guys know I do quite a number of pressure washers every year. You know, every season I have my pressure washer, which is pretty cool. We got our high pressure washer instruction manual right in the top. That's good. We will not be reading that. Okay, I won't read it to you guys. And then of course we got everything here all just kind of squished in on the top. So why, here's something we want to take out. That's a wand. Why would we need this? Well, like I said, oh, I got a cleaning brush. I do a lot of videos, and I've even done some videos on just using the hose and a bit of super clean, and you know, they've been very good to us here in this channel as well. I guess this must be one of the holders. And so I've shown how you don't necessarily have to have a pressure washer. My pressure washer is expensive. Now they sell, we've got a nice little, this kind of pops in, everything pops in. That's your detergent wand, foam sprayer. And so these are expensive, and the more industrial you get in terms of these machines, the more expensive they get. Mine is nice. I've got that adjustment on it so I can control the output, the amount of pressure. So I think it's like a 2,700 PSI. That's a lot of pressure. And I've said in a few videos, especially like when I'm doing like a small engine and I just want to clean the engine, you don't want a lot of pressure. Stickers go blowing off, springs go blang, bling, blang, blammo, whatever. You can damage like some of the control rods and the mechanisms. You could push water into places that you don't want water. And if you lower the pressure down, well, then you have a lot less of that problem. So you get the sort of cleaning power, but not the over the top. And those things are expensive. Now this is not expensive. And I picked this model because it was a little bit higher pressure than the cheaper model. And my thinking is, all right, well, you need a certain amount of pressure. For a lot of what we do and I do with these really gunky machines, is our nice wand. This thing should have enough pressure to do most of what we need to do. And it's so affordable. It's very lightweight. And also we're going to wash the van, and we're going to do a little bit of pressure washing on the house in subsequent episodes because I want to see if it's durable, right? So that's the second question. So the first question I think is easily answered. Who couldn't use an inexpensive pressure washer, whether it be in what we do, cleaning some of these machines around the house and around the shop, around the garage, around the car, right? Who couldn't use one? Now, the second question is durability, right? So just a quick story on that. My daughter's boyfriend, he got involved in automotive detailing. And it's actually quite a lucrative field. So he accumulated some customers, some private customers over time, and he bought a simple machine like this. I don't know the brand, right? Probably got it at Lowe's or Depot. And it broke. I don't know what broke. I told him to drop it off. I'll take a look at it. So that's why we'll do in this episode, we're going to put it together. We're going to, product introduction, you stand it there. We'll do some cleaning with it, and I'll try and keep the this episode short. And then I think I'll release a few other videos upcoming on it, doing a few different things with it, not just the lawnmowers and stuff, sitting around the house, like I said, the car. And we'll just kind of check back in on it. And then I do have a lot of projects, right? So there's never, I got, you guys know I got the sea of lawnmowers out there and machines and equipment. So I'm going to keep cleaning them with it, and we'll see. Does it hold up? That's the second question. Time is the only thing that will tell that. So let me take a look at that. We're going to get everything out of the plastic, lay it out, right? And we'll start putting it together. And we'll fire it up. I'll see you guys in a minute. So first impressions, being what they are, right? You could never have a second first impression. So it looks pretty cool, right? I like the color. Looks decent. And it survived shipping and everything. So this just slides right on. And then there's this thing here, right? That's your holder. For all your hosing. I'm gonna put this together right now. They give you the screws, and they give you a screwdriver. All right. So I figured, well, the manual says one thing, but you know me. I'm going to screw this in real quick. Now, it's only 6 screws, so they went easy on us. And if you don't use a zip gun, guys, I know it's tempting, but you're going into plastic. I just used a big screwdriver. All right, this slides on, and then 2 more screws. Now, I have one of my favorite Phillips head screwdrivers, and it is Phillips head, so whenever you're working in like a position like this, it's just not as desirable as, working downward. Just I get used to working a certain way. That's part of being a mechanic, is establishing routines. Now we've got a couple things that slide on. We got this one. This is your wand holder, and without really even looking, I think in the manual, I think we can say that. Okay, made a little snap. I think we can say that it goes there. And then this guy goes down over here. Got it, chop. Goes together nice. It's simple, right? And this is for packaging. The packaging was pretty good. Like I said, it survived shipping. It's packaged well. Nothing seems to be broken. Now, I do see something here. All right, now, this is your on-off switch, and that little clip, this little tang right here, and let me zoom in a little bit. It's off. It's out of place. Let me zoom in. Okay, so we can see here, the clip is out. What if we just sort of press that in a little bit and see if we can get it into position? There it goes. Okay. There's your on-off switch. But down here, they supply us with this nice hose adapter, right, with a filter. That's important. If ever you go to replace on any of your pressure washers, whatever you have, try to use one of these. And again, you don't have to do this, but a little Vaseline or a little bit of white grease in this case. Just a little bit. It makes everything, and it's particularly on the washer here. Now we shouldn't be taking this apart. I'm also going to put it on the hose area too a little bit. You get a little bit more. Now I do this every year. I take my stuff apart, and you'd be surprised, like on the quick disconnects that I use, the rust and the gook builds up in these areas, and even though I do this, it just does, right? And I use mine all the time, but even just from sitting. Now I just turn that on by hand. It's a nice good knurled knob, and so I can grip it no problem, even with a little bit of grease on my hands. That should be tight enough, right? We're gonna go bring it outside in a minute. Now, on the small gas-powered ones, the red is a super sharp stream. And that's something like 0 degrees. The green is most common, and this is 34 degrees, I think is what it says. And it looks to be the same, right? I think that's the only similarity, because every other fitting on these things is unto itself. All electric pressure washers are like that. They made them different deliberately. Then the black one, for a lot of the ones that we use in the smaller gas powered, that's usually for applying some kind of detergent. But we already have that. So what I'm saying is so this is the older one. So look, they gave us a red. All right, they did give us a red. Hold on. Let me not get confused. And because if I get confused, you'll be confused. So this is like 0 degrees. This is like the highest pressure. And then the white, I think, is the widest fan, which I like to do bags, right, for lawnmowers, right? They don't rip it. This is a little bit less so, right? A little tighter fan, and you'll see. And then the green, right, which is the most common. They also gave us, and this is important, right? This is a little pin, and it's to clear these nozzles. Now, I don't know if it'll go in every one. It may not go through the hole, but you can kind of work the hole. You want to keep this real clean. If you don't, like it doesn't go through this hole, but it'll probably go through this one. You never want to get something stuck. It goes through this hole. You never want to get something stuck inside. It'll lock it up and it'll create hydrolock. And then it actually becomes difficult or dangerous to pull the hose off, right? Because of all the pressure locked up. Now another thing we can do too, see on these O-rings, we can put a little bit of white grease on there too. You can also use silicone spray, because these O-rings are basically made of silicone. So a silicone spray as a maintenance thing, right? Spray them up occasionally. So you got your hose. Now let's back up a little bit. Let me back you out a little bit. I want to show you the wand. But before I back out, I just want to show you one more thing. So this is a clip in here. And so it's actuated by this here. So it's released. It's sprung load, so it's actuated and released. All right, now the manual doesn't talk about it, I can see, but they're actually showing a picture of this side plugging into the unit itself. That there is a slight difference on this model. It looks like the shoulder area on this side, on the black side, is a little bit longer, a little taller. So we just push it in, right, and it locks. But to get it out, okay, you need to push this switch over here that releases the clip. That's your retaining mechanism. And you see, as it says on, so really what we're doing is when you're pressing it to on, you're actually releasing the clip, and then you can take the hose out. Now, let's look at this real quick. And you should be able to see there's a difference in the shank length. And so they're saying the black one, and that makes sense because that longer shank on my left, right, is probably what is that little bit of extra it needs. And also this is different too, the insertion part that goes in and makes contact with the receptacle that's going to deliver your pressure. So on this model, just to make sure, right, we're going to stick with their convention. I don't know what other conventions are. You want to observe that. All right, let's go over some of the attachments. So I'm going to just stand a little closer to you guys so that you can see. So the most common attachment is the wand. And there are like these, it's like a T. And then here, you see it kind of lines up. Now when you put it together, you'll see it'll want to go one direction. It won't want to go, then it goes, and then we need to twist it. So I'm going to push together and just give it a twist. And now it's locked. So that's going to be the case for everything. And then of course on here, this is sprung load. So I'm just going to pull the collar back, and now we have our tip of our, whatever we choose. And that's conventional. That's typical today for almost everything. And of course the same is true, right? We have our red hose end. And it's the same thing here, right? You push in, it locks, but then when you want to remove it on this gun, it has something very similar, just this little lever, and that releases the lock, and then you can pull this apart. So the only thing I don't like about this is, I know on some of these machines they put like a rubber piece here, to help you hold it, and you can grip it. There's no good way to grip this. If your hands are wet, you might find it a little bit difficult, right? It's very thin. Be careful with where you put your hands, right? You don't want to pinch. Like, you wouldn't want to do this, right? Because if you do that, right, there's a good chance you're going to pinch this part here. Now what they're showing is you put your detergent in here, and same thing. By the way, I've already lubricated all the seals. Of course, we have a trigger lock over here, so you have to push that in before you can pull back on the trigger, right? And then if you push the lock in the other direction, it locks the trigger, which is a nice thing, because let's say you're washing your car and you got a little one, and the little one wants to hang around, and you know, like when I was a kid, oh, let me try, mommy, let me try, daddy. Yeah, okay. Well, it's locked now. Yeah, because they'll shoot themselves and you, and you know, God knows. And this is kind of neat, right? So if you want to wash something, and it's been foamed, and you want to wash it, the pressure, some water, not much. Our startup procedure is going to be the same. I do this for all my machines. We're going to bring it outside, connect the hose, connect everything, get the water running through the machine. It's called priming. You want to pull that trigger back and let the water come out until you see, you know, no more air escaping. And when you get a good stream of water coming out, that's when I would recommend you put the tip on. You do this with the machine off, with the electric part off, the engine off, or the motor, electric motor. And once that water is coming through, then we're primed and we're ready. And if there's any dirt anywhere, hopefully we'll be washing it out. Dirt is your enemy inside of one of these machines. So let's bring it out. It's coated enough, right? I like it. It looks pretty good so far. It's a nice, simple machine. And yeah, and we'll talk more at the end about the care and feeding, if this is what to do in the wintertime, how to put it away. But let's get it outside and see if it works. All right, so I'm all plugged in. It has a light on it, and you can test it. This is GFCI protected, so you shouldn't get a shock or anything. That's for safety, and they all have to have something like this. Now, this actually is a GFCI that I've modified. It's actually on the other end of this. So this is what I like to bring outside. Anytime I'm out here, this is really what it's for. And it really can't have enough protection. So it should be good there. It has a test on it. Okay, suppose if you want to test it, see, it snaps. And now there's no power, that light is off. So you might want to check that when you get yours. Now I have a valve on here, a simple valve, brass. And let's just see, it's tight. Let's see if it leaks at all. All right, it should come out the hose. Yeah, it's coming out the other end. All right, let's hook it up and purge it. We'll prime it. All right, so it's time to purge. All right, so I have the hose on, and I've got the valve on as well. Push the lock in, and let's make sure all the water is coming through. And you have to turn the machine off. Remember, the motor must be off position, and just rinse it through. And it's easy with the nozzle off, right, because you're going to get more flow. That looks good, because I've already kind of like pre-purged it. So I'm going to start off with my green nozzle. Make sure it's on there, right? Give it a tug. How do I know? Okay, I'm still missing one. It shot, I don't know, maybe it's all the way in that other cemetery thing over there. Oh, that wasn't on. So now we should be able to actually just press it. It'll automatically come on. It's all primed. Keep your hands out of the way. I wear a hat and I wear glasses, particularly on these old, dirty, filthy things that I'm cleaning, because stuff kicks back on you, gets in, well, I don't have hair, but it'll get in your eyes, right? I guess if you're doing a car or something like that, it's probably not as important, but for this, you definitely want safety first. So it's already got, you know, decent pressure from the hose, but it would take a long time to purge that way. I'm gonna turn the switch on. Okay, I don't know if you heard it, but it just ran for a second just to build up a bit of pressure. It makes a bit of head pressure, and as soon as it feels that drop in head pressure, it's got an electric switch in there, and it should come back on again. Let's see what it does. Right? It's quiet too. All right, that's cool. Let's get started. I'll give you a shot of that. right, now I've got my turbo nozzle on it. So let's just do a quick one. All right, so I showed you a little bit of this guy in action. All right, so that's the rotary tip, turbo nozzle, and it works really well. We'll talk about that when we go in. It's hot. It's probably the hottest day of the year so far. So it's real hot. It's getting to the end of the day, so I want to get in. But I did want to show you. All right, so we see how it looks. Right, that's your fan. Now we'll go back to my favorite tip. Remember, you gotta make sure it's in there. Now when you go to change tips, you really should do it when it's off. So this is the one that I like, the green one. And then, you know, the red one is the stream, right? You saw that. Make sure they're on there. And then the next one, which is the orange one, okay, that's a little bit wider than the green. So it's very close, just a little bit wider. And then lastly, and this is the one I like for bags or painted surfaces that I want to make a little bit more coverage. I don't want to damage it. All right, now let's take a look at the last thing while we're out here. I got one more thing to do. I just want to show you what they refer to as sort of a shutdown procedure and storing procedure. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go down there. I showed you the valve. I'm going to turn that valve off. Okay, now with the valve off, there's no water coming in. Now in your case, if you don't have a valve, disconnect the hose. There's no water coming in. With the machine on, about 5 to 7 seconds. All right, we're going to purge the machine. That's it. Now shut it off. And it'll try to continuously run because what you've done is you've initialized it. It doesn't see the pressure. It's going to keep running. And it'll purge whatever is in the pump, which is probably a ceramic pump. And that way you won't have water migrating in there. And if it gets cold, it'll freeze and break, right? And then the machine is done. So we're done with that. Okay, so once again, just going to push that hose. Now, another thing you can do is you can lay it down. I'm just going to turn it on for a second and see if anything comes out. Yeah, a little bit. Now, another thing you can do too is what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the hose from below. That way we get all the water out of the hose. I'm going to turn it on just for a second. That's it. All right, you can hear it. And now the pump is dry. We want to keep doing that because you'll burn the pump out. But it's dry and it's safe to put away. So end of the day report, right? Really hot day, probably one of the hottest days of the year, and I left this thing outside all day. And as I was washing, not just this machine, but as you saw, all the others, and there'll be more, just pretty much left it outside. So let's just go over some of the pros and cons, right? Kind of touch on a few last things before, in closing. Now, I already went over, assembly and some of my suggestions and how to use it. For those of you that are new or new to an electric pressure washer, because although I'm honored that a lot of people are very good at what they do and some professionals actually watch my channel, the channel is also for the beginner, and we want to inspire even somebody that's a bit of a novice and has a repertoire already to kind of get out there and go do something, right? Get her done, get something going on. And it, as hot as it was, I tried to stay in the shade, so some of the video quality or some areas may not be as well lit. When I brought it out into the sun and I went into the sun, I almost got set on fire. I would say this unit worked pretty well. As far as durability, I'm going to continue to use it, and as I said earlier, we will check back in from time to time. You'll probably see me using it in some of the footage of the videos that'll be in the future. And so that remains to be seen, but let's just talk about, well, are there any cons? Yeah, let's go over a few cons. It's not a gas-powered pressure washer, and even of the cheaper gas-powered pressure washers, the cheaper stuff that you maybe find at Depot, Lowe's, whatever, the cheaper ends, they still can't do what my good pressure washer does with the Subaru engine on it, right? The Hurricane Sandy one, check out that video. No, they can't do that. And so if you were to try to shoot maybe your gutters or some windows up higher, it doesn't have the volume or the pressure to get that distance. I think, cleaning filthy lawnmowers is probably one of the worst things that anybody would want to do. And all of my machines have to be cleaned. I don't want that junk in here in my nice shop. It certainly cleans the wildlife off. One of the things that you'll see is I was using the red nozzle at one point, the highest pressure that this thing can deliver, which I forget what it is. I'll look it up before I say anything on it. Maybe I'll just put a little piece of text or something rolling here. And you get close, and on this machine in particular, there was a lot of spalling, what I call, in concrete we call it spalling, but I think it's really the same thing. It's rust spalling, little rust pimples, and then they get real flaky. In some cases, they get like slate, they get like layers. It took a little longer than, let's say, using my nice, my big machine with this nice rotary tip. We'll talk about that in a second. But it got the job done. It did do that. It will take longer. It may not reach as far. There are some things there that it doesn't have the pressure or the volume. But the average price for something like this is somewhere between $100 and $200, depending upon the exact model you get, in that range. I'll put a price up. When I go to do the video, before I publish it, I will put a current price at that moment in time. So that's a con, right? But the pro side of that is the price. This is so reasonably priced, and if you need to use it around the house or the car, or maybe some of us really want to kind of get a little bit more into this, you're going to need a pressure washer. Absolutely. And if you don't want to spring the big, well, that's big coin. Pressure washer like mine is easily over $500, maybe around $700. I don't know. Everything's going up. So you need to consider that. Something like this on the pro side, right, you're getting into a machine that can pretty much cut the mustard for most of the stuff that you need to do. It's going to be better than a hose. It's going to save you time. If you're thinking about maybe clearing concrete and you want to do your whole driveway, that's going to take you a long time with this. There are other methods, there are other attachments, but attachments that you're going to put on there are going to reduce the pressure and the volume of this thing. It may not be able to handle it. Certainly for that, right? You're going to need something a little bit more commercial or industrial for that. Even when I put this nozzle on it, what I noticed was, usually when I use this nozzle, I turn the power up, right? And this will remove rust, spalling, scaling, paint. It'll remove it cuts holes into decks. If there's anything going on in the deck, I won't sell a machine that's got possible holes coming through in the deck. I'll find out, because when I go to do the deck side, the underside, this will blow holes through anything that's getting too thin on my machine with the pressure up a little higher. This acted more as a pressure washer. I kind of liked it in a way as the lower pressure, because it was washing and blowing stuff off, and it wasn't tearing up labels. And in a way, this is a good match for what I do in a general cleaning on one of these machines. Because it's twisting and turning, I don't have to, with this creates a fan, so it's more directional. So either you have to turn this piece, one of these pieces, to change the direction of the fan, or you have to move the nozzle around. This allows me to kind of get into areas that I wouldn't be able to get into with something like this. So that's a con, and in a way a pro, because if you get a nozzle like that, you put it on here, get used to using it, be careful with it, but it will work and it'll have a particular feature or function. We didn't try this out, okay, but I think we all know what this is, right? We all know. I thought this was a foam cannon, but it's not. It's really just, it's no fault of the machine or the manufacturer, but it's really just an applicator. So I mixed up a little bit of laundry detergent. I don't have anything that foams or anything. And of course I put in Super Clean. And so I like to work with this company, and I have to say, if you feel that something is really, really greasy and you want to improve the overall performance of the pressure washer and get a little bit better job, either put this on direct, something like Super Clean Direct, or use this applicator and soap everything up, walk away for 20 minutes or so, come back, and you see it came really nice. It came very clean. So I think that would be a benefit to you guys, to sort of increase the level of cleaning with something like this. You shouldn't compare this directly to, let's say, one of my machines. It's a different animal. And so that's why I say, just overall, our overarching scenario is that what I have is commercial stuff, and what I'm doing is more commercially oriented. However, this thing is light, it's convenient. One of the things I like about it is it's quiet. If I want to do something, let's say on a Saturday or Sunday, and I don't want that engine running the whole time, it's quiet even when I turn it on. And then, of course, as soon as I let go of the handle and put the wand down, it's off. For certain areas that are a bit more delicate, this has more than enough pressure for those areas. So, particularly for doing something like that. The con would be, for some of these decks, for me, that are really fouled up with grass and impacted, and maybe there's a lot of flaking paint, it doesn't really have enough pressure. And the last thing is, well, we don't know if it's durable enough, right? So that time will only tell. I showed you guys purging it and preparing it for the winter. Pretty simple operation. I highly recommend it. There's also lubricants and other products. Check out my video on how to prepare your pressure washer for the winter and save it from dying. Check out that video. It's the same thing for an electric pressure washer, same issues. Keep everything clean. Don't dump the nozzle into the ground. I even did that once. You get tired and you go to drop the wand and it plunges into the ground. I will see you guys on the next one. Hopefully this was informative, and I definitely enjoyed the review, and stay tuned and you'll see a little bit more about this particular model in the future. All right, thanks for watching Archer's Garage, guys, and don't forget, hit the like and subscribe button. Let's build a channel together, and I will see you on the next one.